And we're going to go ahead and dive into Spacenut versus Retired Boxer. Now, Spacenut was in, both these players were in Open Division last year. Retired Boxer was unfortunately not able to play, so he had to get kicked. But now it seems that he is being able to be fully participating into this tourney. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays, because I haven't really seen a game, a series of his before. So we'll see how well he'll do against Spacenut, who is a little bit of a veteran. And let's go ahead and dive right into it. So, Retired Boxer up in the north side, rocking the yellow, while Spacenut down south, rocking the blue. And we're now seeing our first boar composition of the day on Spacenut's end. Going for a classic setup with the squirrel, as well as having the Falcon's Cam skunk to tie that boar in a bow. Meanwhile, for Retired Boxer, going for an interesting owl comp. I haven't really seen this one too much, with the solo squirrel as the tier 1, as well as having the falcon, snake, and ferret as the 2. Going to work with that owl. So very interesting composition for a Retired Boxer. I know he's relatively newer, so it's gonna be a pretty interesting wild game with this one. So right now, Retired Boxer is looking to go for the Gentleman's 8 as well as Spacenut. So I would imagine that both of them are going to open up with the squirrels. Yep, we are going to see some squirrels over for Spacenut, and seeing a couple of squirrels for Retired Boxer's end as well. So in the early going, not too shabby. I will say that when it comes to the map, this is very annoying pathings, I would have to say. I think is the best way to explain this, is that while there is a good amount of mills for both sides, you can definitely lean more towards Spacenut if you kind of cut the entire map in half. But I will say, to try and find angles, it's a lot more linear compared to other maps you would like to see, because even though it does feel like open space, there really isn't, because of the fact that there's a lot of trees and stuff everywhere on this map. Meanwhile, Spacenut is going to go ahead and get into his tier 2. So the army lead is going to be a little bit on Spacenut's favor, as we do see the snakes being dropped from Retired Boxer. Boxer is going to go ahead and dive into getting into that campfire, which can definitely play in the long run to have a little pocket campfire. Meanwhile, for Spacenut, not really gonna expand too much when it comes to getting economy, but Retired Boxer probably just want to get rid of that hassle for the most part, as yeah, both sides really just focusing on trying to build up as much as they can. Retired really heavily going on the tier 1 end, meanwhile Spacenut wanting to invest more into the tier 2. So I do have a quick little fun question, as you know, both sides are trying to set up their armies. Who are your go-to commanders in this game? Like, for me, it's Bellified. Mainly because of the fact that my blue is my favorite color, and you know, it's that main character syndrome a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, main character syndrome can be pretty bad, especially with like favorite color, pretty much like kind of the main protagonist-ish a little bit, with how he's the one that kind of sets up the story in the trailers. And also with the fact that I just think that he looks really neat. I really like his design. His beard is flawless. So I'm just curious as to what your guys' favorite commanders are, as we, you know, get into the tier 2s a little bit. Nothing too crazy is going on. We are seeing a lot of pigeons early for Spacenut, so I imagine that he's probably going to try and set up his board pretty soon. Meanwhile, for Retired, we're seeing a lot of floating on boxes, and Gonna invest heavily into there. Gonna go ahead and buy a couple of Falcons as well. So nothing too crazy. And right now, things are going awfully quiet between the two of them. We're seeing basically some eco being built between the two sides. Looks like it's going to be a gentleman 16 because there really hasn't been much action between the two, as we are seeing that Spacenut is doing a little bit more when it comes to pacing as well as army building. And the 5-minute mark is going to get passed, and nothing insane's happening. But yeah. So it looks like a tier 3 is actually going to come over for Spacenut now, as the boar is going to be coming out, Falcons as well. So Spacenut's really going heavy on the tier 2, but Retired Boxer is going to go mass tier 1, as we see 24 squirrels coming out for him, with just a little bit of Falcons and snakes. So I think he's pretty much writing like, look, if all else fails, just make a copy machine of squirrels. But there's a lot of floating on his end, and he really needs to do something. Floating is not what you want to do in this game. You have to continue to spend. Retired Boxer has not really paid attention to what's going on his opponent's end, because when's the last time he scouted? Like, yeah, he hasn't really scouted too much, because there's a lot that Spacenut has done throughout it, and I haven't really seen much scouting on Boxer's end. Actually, I'm kind of curious. Is he aware of the tier 3? He isn't, so he's about to find out pretty quick. But it looks like Retired Boxer is gonna finally go for this attack, as he has quite a lot of squirrels to be playing around with. Like 27 is quite a lot. So, but Spacenut's gonna come in with the board pretty soon, like about 15 seconds, I would say, as we are seeing the boar finally out and about. And now we are going to see Spacenut gonna go ahead and dive right on in, trying to do as much damage as he can, trying to make some fresh meat in the squirrels, as the boar does go down. But a lot of squirrels have been taken out from that initial attack, and I think Spacenut is able to go ahead and probably take this one with, or maybe actually no, never mind. We are seeing that Retired Boxer doing a really good job defending himself, as Spacenut overcommitting with his attack and losing a lot of his army, and Retired Boxer has the opportunity to possibly go ahead and go for another fight here. Like, he does have the advantage here, as he is now going to go ahead and focus on taking out the rest of this army as the commander goes down. There's not much that Spacenut can really do. But of course, the Retired Boxer is going to have to commit to something. Deciding to go after the mills, losing a little bit of pigs here and there. He could honestly just take out the mill and just take the win here, as Boxer able to get on the board first. So, Retired Boxer showing no remorse there, as the masked squirrel was able to get it done. So, Spacenut going down the south as rocking the blue. Meanwhile, Retired Boxer up north rocking that gold, that yellow gold. And it looks like Spacenut did do a little bit of a switch up right here. Instead of going for the boar composition, a badger composition this time with the moles coming in. And ooh, spicy mole, excuse me. And it looks like that pig is gonna go down. And you know, that's gotta be more than enough to really kind of put the advantage on his way. Retired Boxer was not prepared for that whatsoever. So, Retired, you're gonna have to do something here. So this is probably where the new player jitters come into play, because it looks like Retired Boxer is not sure what to do here because of the attack. Instead, he's going to go ahead and invest in the squirrel early going, and we might see Spacenut. Yep, he's going to do it again. He can't keep getting away with this. That is not going to look good, as once again, another 60's down. And oh my goodness, Spacenut doing a really good job with the mole attacks. Especially when it comes to like when it comes to players that are relatively new in the community, it's a bit more difficult for them to try and defend this or have more of a better response than what has been put out recently. Especially if you don't have any defensive warrant to try to prevent that from happening again. But at this moment, it does seem like Spacenut will have a little bit of the tempo lead, as well as having a bit of an army lead as well. So this is going to be a really good portion. I will see another mole. Okay, now he's just being cheeky. And I cannot blame Boxer for wanting to do this. Just trying to delay his time to get home as much as possible. But Retired Boxer is going to have to build up a lot more tier 1s to try and match up with what Spacenut is doing, which is what he's going to do. Spacenut is going to invest in that second mill, as well as having some cams on the way too. So this is going to be some interesting situation here, as Spacenut is setting himself very well in the early goings of this game. Of course, as I say all of this, we haven't really dived into too much of the map itself, which is pretty even Steven for the most part. I say for the most part because we do have a bit of an advantage over to Spacenut with the third mill being very easily accessible. Meanwhile, for Retired Boxer, he has to go an entire lower level to get to his third, and that's going to be much more difficult to defend. But Spacenut is looking to possibly end this game sooner rather than later, with going heavy on the moles, as well as getting some cams in there as well. You really gotta like this setup here, but Retired Boxer is hoping to probably match that with what he has on his own, but he doesn't have nearly enough of an army to go take this out, especially as Spacenut is gonna go ahead and catch Retired Boxer with his pants down and losing a lot of Warrens at least. And it's probably going to lose a lot more, as this attack has become very, very brutal. Losing a pig, losing a couple of Warrens. And this might be more than enough to take the game, as, oh, they're not able to take out that pig. So the pig was able to get away with a life, but taking a majority of Warrens plus a pig is huge for Spacenut, as he's fully invested into doing well with the economy lead, as well as having a much superior army now, comparatively. So, at this current moment, Spacenut is looking to possibly go for another attack again. And there is a snake on box. There are snakes on Box's end, so Spacenut has to really be careful and try his best to aim after the snakes, to possibly try and finish this off. But right now, it looks like both players are kind of tiptoeing a little bit. If we go ahead and look into the graph, Spacenut is a little bit ahead on army, but the economy is what I'm really looking at right now, and he is doing a very good job of keeping ahead in that front. Retired Boxer still trying his best to, you know, keep things afloat, but right now, with the lack of economy, it's becoming much more difficult to build up his army as what he wants to, especially when he keeps queuing up like this. But right now, it looks like both sides are really trying to push the tier 1s as much as possible. But even then, Spacenut, with the Falcons and the Cam combination, it's going to be much more difficult for a retired boxer to try and break into this. I will say his defense wouldn't be as bad, but if he tries to attack, I would be concerned. Because he's not in the right moment, and it looks like Spacenut was trying to be cheeky with the cams, but retired boxer was not going to have any of it, already having his army into position. Gonna go say, you know what, nah, we're going to full send these tier 1s. If all else fails, copy paste squirrel. But now we're seeing a battle commencing, and he is able to take at least one of the skunks out of the equation because of the snakes. But if those snakes get tagged, that's going to be a huge problem. But now we're seeing Spacenut going for that same angle again. And it looks like one Warren's going to be able to go down. So right now, it looks like Spacenut is just tiptoeing in between two of these spaces, trying to mitigate as much economy as he can. But retired boxer does have the army to go ahead and fend this off pretty easily. So Spacenut is just going to go ahead and retreat for now. Go ahead and build some economy on his end, because he has a lot of farms to be able to queue up as much as he wants. He is in a really good position when it comes to overall scrappy play, as retired boxer has yet to even get a decent amount of farms ready on his side, let alone even get a third mill in the first place. And oh no, the commander's down for Spacenut. Spacenut is right now in a very dire situation because of the fact that those losses could probably hamper him a little bit, as now he doesn't really have a lot to be able to replenish a lot of the Falcons. So he's going to go ahead and sell one of his Falcons and just invest into more of the economy. I will say it would be nice for him to go ahead and get these three a little bit, so that way he'll be able to utilize as much farms as possible. But right now, so far so good. And right now, it's not looking too good, because while yes, he does have the pigeons to help heal a lot of his units, he's basically tiptoeing a little bit here, in my opinion. And now Boxer, after trying to play in the long game, is now going to go ahead and dive into the fight, but he's retreating for some reason. Like, honestly, I think he's in a prime position to go ahead and just send it and attack, because even though he has the skunks, well, excuse me, the cams and the Falcons, Spacenut doesn't really have the ability to counter all of these squirrels, as well as possibly using a couple of snake tags to take out what retired boxes is setting out. But it looks like all of the pigeons are gone for retired boxers except for one, possibly because they were destroyed by Spacenut. So that does give Spacenut a little bit of an advantage here, I think. But at this moment, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to see what would happen between the two, as both sides trying to go back and forth. And retired boxer finally going to dive into his third. As we go ahead and look into the income, Spacenut is just above and beyond right now. But retired boxer does have the more superior army. So right now, retired boxer does need to go ahead and say bump it and try his best to do some kind of attack, because he can't really delay any longer, because the more he waits, the more even the armies become, and it would eventually be a situation where Spacenut could take over in the army lead. Especially now that that he does see the retired boxer is there, and it looks like he's gonna have his boys defend, and there's not much that his moles can do at this juncture. Instead, we'll invest in a couple of tier 2, some Falcons, and the battle's gonna look to commence here. Look, there's so many squirrels, and the fight is gonna commence. This might be the last battle here. Retired boxer trying to be doing the wise thing and selling off those queued up farms before losing all that, and instead, will have to invest it in some other way because he is not in the position to lose any more economy. Hey, Scar, welcome, welcome. Right now we're in game number 2 of the final game that I'm doing because it's already been a couple of hours. Right now, Retired Boxer needing to do something here because he's slowly but surely losing a lot of economy here, and he can't really afford to lose any more. He has to commit. But at what cost? Because of the fact that he only has a couple of sets of tier 2, and Spacenut just has the superior army, I think, at this point, as we are seeing the cams doing a lot of work here, but not enough to break through fully. But he will be able to break eventually, even as we are past the 10-minute mark, or 11 minutes and 30 seconds in. And looking at the army value, back and forth between the two, but Spacenut is in full control of just about everything. And Retired Boxer is just really at a bad spot as the economy continues to be the target for Spacenut. He would be more than happy to go ahead and just starve out Retired Boxer because of that hesitation. And now we're finally seeing another battle here, but there's not much for Retired Boxer to do as he doesn't have enough to get his army to get replenished. So now the focus is just taking out the starving, and that's going to be game here, I think. Just go ahead and ignore everything else and just take out one more mill, and that'll be that. So, yeah. Spacenut able to get on the board with a very decisive victory here, as not much here for Retired Boxer to do at this point, as he will have to take the L. As, yep, GG for game number 2, as Spacenut is able to tie things up. So, Spacenut trying to take the lead out in the west side as the Longcoats, while the Retired Boxer as the Civilized out west trying to stay ahead of the game. Looking at the compositions between the two of them, it seems like they're both sticking with what they have had in the last game, so nothing too crazy on that end. Meanwhile, looking at the mill scenario, not a lot of options for either side, to be honest. Each round estimate. Scar, please don't make that. Don't do that. You're gonna make us casters cry. Well, I don't really cry as much because I don't really have. That'll be more so on the editing for me, more so than anything else, rather than it being like having to update things live when it comes to color switches and stuff. But when it comes to the color switching it up, I think it's fine to keep it as is. But yeah, both players going for the Gentleman's 8. Not having to worry about it too much. Actually gonna go ahead and buy some squirrels to start things off. And that's pretty good. So Scar, do you have like no preference in what commander that you want to play around with? Ooh. Oh, snap. As I wait for him to answer, looks like both sides are going to keep it even Steven so far. Boxer, it's always very interesting to see how newer players kind of place their warrants a little bit, because like for a lot of veteran players, they try their best to kind of keep it aligned, make it like nice and neat and clean. But Boxer is just kind of putting them a little bit all over the place, like, you know, one on each corner and all that stuff. But warrant placements are, I would say, somewhat important. You have a slight preference towards red or blue. I sort of forgot the names. Blue is Bellified and red is Hopper. Proletariat. No, it's the long coats is the blue. Oh crap! I forgot what the red one is called fully. I just remember the names of the actual commanders. Oops. So I'm sure someone will probably say that, hey, the red team is this. And Spacenut's trying to be cheeky here, but not able to do much with that as he does decide to sell and retreat. Probably going to go ahead and invest in a couple of tier 2s here in the early goings. Meanwhile, with our Boxer. Investing into some pigeons as well as getting into some falcons here. I'm just curious as to how the pigeons are going to be used, in all honesty, because you don't really see pigeons too much in an owl composition, in all honesty. Like, owl is mainly used for badgers and sometimes boar. And heck, maybe even wolf on some rare occasions. But we are going to see an attack here from retired boxers. That mill is definitely going to be gone by the time Spacenut does come and get this. And that's all he really wants to do. We may see an engagement, but there is a sneaky play here from Spacenut, and he is going to go ahead and go for the kill here. And right now, this is a really good spot, as there's not really a good way for Retired Boxer to try and defend this. And we are going to see a lot being lost there for Retired Boxer. Even though he's able to defend this off a little bit, he's not going to get the Warren down. But still a really good attack. Really good attack there from Spacenut. But he is gonna. But Retired Boxer is gonna do the wise thing. Get rid of that mill that is just hiding. Oh, I'm about to say, like, don't forget to take it out. But really good attack there from Spacenut, being able to just go ahead and put Retired Boxer in a very rough spot, because there's really only one lane. And with the fact that even with his army being sandwiched in this situation, getting a good damage in a lot of the pigs as well as a good bit of the mill itself puts Space in a really good position to actually take this game outright. Yeah, I think it's because of the fact that, like, people don't know, like, being able to hold and focus on the mill itself would have given him that victory. But it's still a pretty good spot there for Spacenut, even if he didn't take it. It's just prolonging it at this point. And Spacenut is going to go ahead and get into a couple of pigeons his way. And dive into moles too. So right now, we're seeing that Spacenut is looking to possibly get into another angle. We are seeing that a second mill is going to get built over to Boxer, and Spacenut doing the wise thing. Well, is he trying to go ahead and get his opponent in a bad position again? Yeah, he is! Boxer took the bait! No! Boxer! This is not a good spot, because there's not much that the Falcons can do. And that mill's certainly going to be gone now, as that is going to be the case. And it would have been nice to see if you can take out a couple of Warrens as well, but now a majority of the mills are done, and I really hope that Boxer doesn't try and take this. But now Retired Boxer is going to end up losing this game here, because he doesn't have another one queued, and that's just going to be it. Yep, that's just going to be it. So, Spacenut going up 2-1 in this case. So Spacenut has the opportunity to win it all here, as he is up north in the blue, while Retired Boxer is going to be down south in the yellow. As we see a major switch up here for Boxer, deciding to go ahead and avoid the... Oh my god, Spacenut, stop! Stop this! Please! Retired Boxer needs to sell here. He has no choice. There's no way he can... Oh my goodness. Retired Boxer, no! Oh my gosh. That is not really a way you can really do this. And now Retired Boxer is gonna go ahead and lose a Squirrel War too. Please, no. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, he's going to lose. Oh, he lost it. Oh no, no. This is not what you want to see. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. This is not the start you want to see for Retired Boxer. He may have already lost this game here because of the response not really being there for Boxer. So, pretty much kind of I guess, as a bit of coaching time, I suppose. So when you're in a situation where you're going against a mole player, if you see them put down a mole, sell everything and just try and rack up your tier 1, so that way, you know, you don't have to prevent this from happening again, because that is like the worst case scenario in this juncture. So right now, Spacenut has all the momentum on his side in the world. As we look, the army value is, well, Boxer's pretty much got his up a little bit since the attack, but the economy is where you really see things becoming dangerous because of how much food that Retired Boxer lost in this juncture. We'll see how he responds here, but this is not a good start if you're Boxer. So kind of at the moment, we are seeing Spacenut building up very well the number of squirrels that he has. Retired Boxer trying to match that as much as he can also. But, I mean, even if he goes ahead and just, say, bump it, he's going to dive into his cams a little bit here, and we have seen things cool down quite a bit. But yeah, right now, Retired Boxer, one of the things he might have to work on is trying to see if he can get games with the people who usually goes for early attacks, and try to work on countering that, because that's going to be a big moment here, because that puts him in a very tough spot. And right now, Warren's going to go down here, and there's still a lot more that he could do. Again, not really putting a lot of focus fire into it. So even though he does defend it, he loses a couple of Warrens once again, and it puts... Oh, well, that's a good cheeky little shot. It puts Spacenut in a much better position right now, as he has more than enough to go ahead and close this series out right here and now. Yeah, moles are a very cheeky unit. Obviously, like, moles have been used in very, very interesting ways, mainly by Dr. Mole himself, Urbane Olive, excuse me. Like, he's kind of like the player that you love to watch if you want to have a good understanding of how moles work in this game. And it really kind of gives you a good idea of, like, what are ways to kind of attack early on in these games. But right now, it looks like Retired Boxer really wants to go ahead and try and match the economy, because Spacenut is completely in control of the game with what is available at the time. So again, here comes Spacenut going for a quick attack, and I don't know what Retired Boxer is doing. Retired Boxer, you gotta respond to this. Oh my goodness, he may lose the smell, and oh my god, oh, it's at 2 health. Oh my god, oh lord, oh gosh, Retired Boxer got so lucky. Oh, Lord, if he lost that mill, that would have been done. That would have been done. Oh, man. Yeah, Retired Boxer has to respond a lot better if he wants to be able to get this into a Game 5. And it looks like Boxer is just in desperation mode. We have passed the 5-minute mark. Both sides don't really have a lot of economy flowing up at this point, but Spacenut can change that really quickly. But it looks like Spacenut is just going to go for this win right now. Like, in all honesty, if he just goes the long route and just goes for this corner and then attack from there, that might be game. But it looks like he's gonna go ahead and just go head first. Yep. So the battle will commence. Is it gonna commence? Hello. Okay. I'm assuming he's just waiting for his camps to arrive. Which, honestly, if that was the case, he should have just been a little bit out a little bit more. But now he's gonna go ahead and get his cams to focus on. Ooh, that's gonna be fun. So he's got his cams on the ready. But now they're in a very bad spot because his army is basically exposed at this point, and now Boxer has a chance to go ahead and go for this kill. Boxer, go! Please! This is your chance! No, man, no, go back! You have the opportunity! Oh, Lord. Okay, so both players decided to reset there. Oh, man, Retired Boxer should have done it. He recalled the cams. He's back in a defensive stance. So we're kind of back into square one. Looking at the income, Retired Boxer is in a little bit of the edge here and has the army lead as well. But it really depends on how Spacenut utilizes his tier 2, especially when it comes to the cams. If the cams can do a lot of magic and possible, because Retired Boxer is leaving so much open right now. So this is a good move. I think that this is the best thing he can do. Focus on that mill a little bit. Try to get at least that mill down. And that's going to be the case. And now Retired Boxer is in a very terrible position. Because even though he's going to win the battle outright, it puts Spacenut in a much better position. And oh my god, the cams are still there! Oh no! Okay, cams get cleaned up. Spacenut tried to be cheeky there that time, but isn't going to be able to get things down. And I don't think it's a good idea to go for that particular mill again. But it puts Retired Boxer in a very bad position. As we do see the army value, even though Retired Boxer has that, he has nothing in economy right now. That's the big thing. So if Spacenut is able to replenish everything, oh god, don't attack now. Don't attack now. Don't do that. Like, you're not in the position to attack right now, Spacenut. I'm so scared. I'm super scared right now. So, at this moment, we are going to see that Spacenut is just kind of waiting for at least most of his army to get ready. Because Retired Boxer does have a lot at stake here. I mean, in all honesty, he could simply just starve him out right now. Not even low-key, not having to attack might be a little bit of the move. But it just depends on how he... It depends on really just taking out that second mill again. Because if he takes that second mill out one more time, that might be it. But no, instead, I don't think this is the move here for Spacenut, because like there's still a lot of squirrels available for Retired Boxer. And ooh, yep, okay, got the moles coming. So yeah, I think that his goal right now is to take out that second mill, which he'll be able to do right here. So that mill's gone. And now Retired Boxer is starving. There's not much he can do. This might be game. Because Retired Boxer has to go for the full charge. He has to go for the full charge here. He has no choice. So all Spaceman has to do is stall. He has to stall. He has to stall as much as he can. No! Retired Boxer, where are you going? No! Don't chase after! Oh no, that's game. That may be GG's. Maybe not. Maybe not. Because even though he stops this, he has 20 seconds left to get something done. I don't think that this is going to be good for Boxer. Boxer has to get rid of everything. But he only has 10 seconds to do so, so he doesn't have enough time. So Spacenut is going to end up getting the W here because Retired Boxer has starved out. So, yeah, it's a GG for Spacenut as he is able to escape with the win here, 3-2-1.